We're going to be talking with Buddy Mendes, who's kind of out in our neck of the woods. My wife and I live in the sunny side part of Fresno. And even though we have Debbie Puchigian, we're still very closely connected, of course, to Supervisor Case's district out there, District 4. And a subject very near and dear to my heart, as viewers who might have been watching the earlier segments in the show, is water. Water's a big issue. And people always ask me, well, you're going to use a lot of water for that aquarium, aren't you? No, aquariums circulate, recirculate the same water over and over again. So we use very little water compared to other types of industries. Ag obviously comes to mind, but there's other industries that use a lot, and people themselves use a lot. And we're doing a lot of underground pumping. I know people have individual wells still out in the rural areas. Is that becoming a problem?
Well, at the state, there is a overuse of the underground aquifer, and it's very important that we retain local control, even if we have to monitor it, maintain it, make sure that it sustains itself. It's a lot better if it's done locally, because even Fresno County has 3 distinct aquifers. Yeah. We've got a short one up against the mountains, the bigger one that the city of Fresno, the cities, Selma, Sanger, well, basically Selma, Kingsburg, in the middle of the valley, it goes all the way up to the Kings River, where the Kings River cuts across. That's all basically the same aquifer. And then the west side aquifer is completely different again.
Yeah.
So basically we need to have, because the county doesn't have the staff to do it, the staff is basically sitting with the City of Fresno Public Works, the irrigation districts on the east side under
FID.
Right, yeah. and Kings River Conservation District, which is doing a monitoring program.
Okay.
And Westland's irrigation district. Westland's has been on top of the underground aquifer. They know what's going on there, and they've been monitored for the last 20
they have
years.
Subsidence. I know, so there's a big issue on the west side, isn't
but
there?
the subsidence is actually more in the greater Fireball Mendota area.
Okay.
But the Fresno one there isn't subsidence with that one.
Well, but we're pumping so much. Right, but in the city you have this little dip under the city of Fresno.
Yeah, but still there's no subsidence.
Okay, yeah.
On the east
good
side.
Solid strata.
Right, it's a different type of aquifer. That's why it's important that we have local control.
Yeah, so we can bank it in our aquifer.
Yes, but banking is really a secondary deal, because really, especially on the Kings River and on the San Joaquin, there's not enough dams.
Right.
People don't understand. Even in they've talked about Temperance Flat, in the San Joaquin, which is a really needed project.
Yeah.
But the Kings River, there's 3 forks of the river that run below, above the dam. Up into the dam. Well, only the northern fork is the Wishon-Helms project. That's only 20% of the water.
That's it.
80% of the water comes unabated into Pine Flat.
Wow.
And thanks to Rick Lehman, who he messed that deal up. He made it a wilderness area where Rogers Crossing was, so it would take a congressional act to ever get that changed.
To raise the dam. In other
words, to build a new dam.
Oh, to build a new dam further upstream.
Farther upstream.
Okay. Now, I know there were some proposals years ago to raise the dam slightly.
Right, but he threw a curveball in that and created a wilderness area.
Yeah. Well, so we're kind of stuck with that. But now Pine Flat holds 1 million acre-feet.
Correct.
And Frine is about 550.
And both rivers are about the same.
They are.
In total
And
water.
there are years when these dams have overflowed. 1997 comes to mind.
Yeah.
Some of these times, 99, was 2 years later, where these dams are being topped.
Right. Actually, 99, they lost control of Frine for a few hours.
They did.
Yes.
It was just going right over the top.
Going right over the top.
And those poor people in those mobile homes, had to get out of there.
Well, it's not only that, it's just once it hits, that area north of Fireball, it just starts going all over the place.
Yeah.
It's a really dangerous situation.
Real issue. So more storage. We think about San Francisco. We think, they have Hetch Hetchy, some of the most pristine water on the planet. Right there in Yosemite National Park.
Yeah, they pipe directly to San Francisco.
There's no canals for farmers along the way. No, it goes straight into the Bay Area for about 2 million people.
Right.
And they have about 360,000 acre-feet roughly. And I think they're up around 80-90% capacity right now because they don't. They don't share it.
They don't share in the so-called restoration of the delta.
Right. and it's the Tuolumne River,
Right.
which we know as Fish People, the aquarium, right?
Yeah.
Flows into the San Joaquin River watershed.
Yes.
And so all of these dams, now even though that's not run by the feds, in all fairness, it's San Francisco PUC,
Yeah.
owns and operates that dam, but still, it's the watershed. And why is Friant the only one that seems to be getting beat up on, let's release
Well,
it for
that's
the settlements, right?
That's a long, complicated story because actually the Kings River Water Association back in the late 80s, early 90s, they created a warm water fishery in the Kings. And that was, at the time, a lot of people didn't like it, but I think the lead counsel at the time, he's still their lead counsel, did a great job of setting that
Well, my
up.
understanding is that's still the only place you can actually go fish.
Yeah.
Now that they're putting salmon in the San Joaquin, you can't really go down there and fish
No.
because if you get a salmon, you're going to get a big fine.
Well, they have to truck the salmon, you know.
They put the salmon in the trucks because the river runs dry after Firebaugh.
Right.
Well, really, just before it hits the 152.
Right.
If anybody's ever driven the 152 over to Los Banos and looked off to the side, it's dry.
Right.
That river just is gone. And so, obviously, it's not connecting
No.
to make the salmon run
No,
viable.
that's one of the least common sense ideas that
Yeah.
have ever come up with. Bad.
And we can talk about that political issue all day long, and certainly it's a huge
Yeah.
issue. But you're running for supervisor. How's the race going? I mean, your
Well,
primary is next week.
I think it's going good. We've got a lot of information out. I feel I'm the only qualified candidate in the race. I'm the only Republican in the race. I'm the only businessman in the race.
Wow.
I'm the only person that has signed both sides of a check for over 30 years.
What's been your business? What have you
I'm
done?
a farmer. I farm 1,800 acres
Wow.
with my boys. I have
That's great.
adult sons. They're in their 30s that are partners with me, and
What do
that's
you-
one of the reasons why
what do you
I'm
grow?
able. I grow pistachios, wheat, Pima cotton,
Wow.
and our Pima cotton is all on drip.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think farmers, for the most part, I mean, obviously there's going to be some exceptions, but are some of the most environmentally sensitive people I know. Why would they want to poison the land? And the amount of water use, trying to minimize that, but maximize the potential of the crop, of course. I mean, you have to have a certain amount. But going out and looking to make sure these drip emitters are actually working, what a painstaking process. When it would be so much easier just to flood the field.
Well, the thing is, though, it is so much more efficient to irrigate with drip. People don't realize farmers are the stewards of the land.
Really are.
Yes.
And I think that's absolutely true. We were talking earlier about this 80% number that's floating around. I don't know if you've heard this. A lot of the media, the mainstream media, is repeating this mantra that farmers are using 80% of California's water. And it's simply untrue because they don't count the total amount of water in the state.
Right. They don't count what's actually flushed down what you call the toilet out to the delta. They don't want to count that water. And they want to minimize what the municipal uses are.
But yeah, I mean, obviously cities, you like to have water in your tap and be able to take a shower every day and maybe have a front lawn,
Yeah.
That's almost sacrilege to say front lawn. But we do have a great aquifer underneath the city of Fresno. I know we're not in dire straits right now. The county in general, conservation measures are important, very, very important. But just in the last minute that we have, what would you say is your ability as a county supervisor, if you're elected, to get more water for our area?
Well, one of the things we have to do is the board should have, when Valadeo's bill came out, they should have immediately passed a unanimous resolution to support it.
There you go.
And all David got was 3 letters from three supervisors.
So you will tip that balance a little bit. Did the incumbent or did the
I think
outgoing
the incumbent
supervisor?
was one of the ones that wrote a letter.
She did. Okay.
Right.
So in her fairness, so
Right.
we hope we get others on the board then in
Right.
addition that would do the same thing.
I want to say, too, that I've been endorsed by Margaret Mims and Judy Case both.
Oh, that's great.
And Phil Larson.
Judy Case, the current office
Right.
holder.
Andreas Borges,
Yeah.
Debbie
Oh, wonderful.
Puchigian.
Andreas, good
Yeah.
friend, and And Debbie
David
Pachigian is
Valadeo, Devin Nunes,
David we just talked to.
Yeah.
Devin, a great champion
Yeah.
for water here in our valley.
Jim Patterson.
That's right. Well, once again, I got to say my disclaimer. I can't endorse any candidate as executive director of this aquarium that's pictured behind us because of our 501c3 status. But I'm going to let the voters make up their own mind. That's what this show is all about, information so that you can decide. It was a great pleasure meeting you, buddy, and best of luck.
Thank you.
And that's it for the Tim Thiesen Show. We'll see you next time on Tim Thiesen Live. Thanks for joining us.